Welcome to another Srashline cast. Uh, um, I'm your host, Riolzro, and tonight's subject, what we'll be talking about, is the sudden cancellation of a lot of, uh, you know, they're not essentially indie games, but it's just kind of like shocking that a lot of games that you wouldn't think were doing, super bad, or had a novel concept or something, something interesting, um just got noticed as to shut down. And a lot of these that are going to you mentioned are probably shut down by the time this is uploaded. But big ones, Crossfire X, even though I think that was probably PC and Xbox exclusive, I don't really know. Knockout City, I think was a big shock to me because novel concept. Not a lot of games have a, or I don't think a lot of games have used dodgeball except beyond the odd sports games and Mario Sports Mix, but that's about it that I can think of. Um, Rumbleverse was another shocking one because it wasn't really out for that long, and it being announced to shut down. But I think again, unfortunately, that was through Epic, so nothing you can do about that one. Multiverses is shocking, but at the same time, since they said they might come back, I don't like really care about that much because they said they might, but that's a big if. I mean, I wrote that down as well, but and apparently because I knew about the Apex Legends mobile because they had some mobile exclusive characters, which is a cool idea. Now the fact that they wouldn't or possibly not include them into the actual version, which would be kind of cool if they did, but that might not ever happen. And apparently, I didn't notice this for the longest time as well. Much like Call of Duty Mobile, there was a Battlefield Mobile as well. So, um, prior to, I forgot about Apex Legends Mobile because there's one character from there. I think she's a TJ. She's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, Battlefield Mobile I never heard about, and I was also kind of shocked. But yeah, I was looking out for other games besides Knockout, Rumbleverse, and Crossfire, and Multiverses. But those are probably the biggest names I would say for them being shut down relatively early versus them, you know, actually staying for a while and trying to recoup their cost. Um, and kind of another thing too is like I was mentioning Apex Mobile, but also Paladins and not Smite, but some other game. I think it was Rogue Company or Rogue. I think that's the other high risk property that's like okay, but it's another like just team based third person shooter that's just kind of um, fairly generic. They were gonna have ports on Switch, but then they're canceled. So, or they already have ports on Switch, but they canceled them because it's not making some it's not meeting their expectations of cost return or um meeting any criteria. So they just it's a sad thing that they're shutting them down because then somebody is losing their job and nobody at the top is being punished. So um and horrible games still that still exist exploit these loopholes like Overwatch or Halo Infinite, where they have digital storefronts and they had the loot boxes, but then they're kind of moving the goalposts up and they say, oh, here's a battle pass. And battle pass is almost kind of exactly the same thing, which I've said this numerous times. But battle pass is that, and loot boxes is that you're not guaranteed to get the item that you want. So, and even if you say, oh, battle passes, you would just have to play. But at the same time, there's no guarantee in that amount of time you are going to get all the items, and that's what you're paying for. So loot boxes, battle passes, it's all the same. Where they don't want to think of a new loot system because that's hard or difficult, and they don't want to be bothered to do it. So they just do this new thing until battle passes are outlawed, or are up to government review, much like the loot boxes were. But yeah, it's kind of extremely awful that even if the games were not of the highest quality, especially Crossfire X, that game could have, you know, been super, had lots of years of support and been better. I don't think they deserve to be shut down so early. And that goes again. Again, it's like EA is not one of those things where, I don't have any love particularly for EA. Again, they published a lot of games, several years ago. Good games, but again, they're made by another developer. So, but like Time Splitters, I didn't realize EA published that, and some of the 007 games. That's probably why they won't never get a port significantly like Nightfire or From Russia with Love, and those games are pretty solid. But yeah, I have no love for EA, especially their sports games. But again, like with Star Wars, they're getting better and better. But again, it just doesn't make sense to me to shut down something that, regardless of, or again, like with Crossfire, regardless of quality, it can't be that much of a loss to not keep going with it, But what I'm getting to is that for EA and Star Wars is with Battlefront 2 was such a rally point for actual governments to take action, and people crying foul play. Well, Blizzard, Valve, and other companies got away scot free. DICE at the very least, or whoever was still connected to the project of Star Wars Battlefront 2 was still committed to add content and fix bugs for Battlefront 2, especially a bug that I knew I experienced, and I don't know if it was only for Xbox One. It could crash the Xbox One, and that was October several years ago. And even though it was glacial, DICE and their ice engine, I'm kidding, that's bad. It's still appreciated that they added, Phasma and Finn and Grievous and Obi-Wan and Dooku and Anakin. And, numerous other features added, like additional classes, modes of play like Supremacy and Ewok Hunt, and a story mode versus so many other games that are online only. Cough, Overwatch, who, again, just said no PvE, so that's even less reason to play Overwatch. So with them being shut down so relatively early, they can't work on being a better game. So, truly, it's especially shocking with Knockout City because they had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, and Multiverses was in such dire straits because they released Marvin the Martian, and then they had no significant follow-up after that. Other than that, I kind of want to record this one because I thought about it a while ago, never got a chance to sit down and record it, and it's just I have more future content on the way. River City Girls 2, more of that. I want to upload Monster World 4, the new version, and maybe have a series about Halo. But other than that, I really always enjoy recording Sarashline casts, and I just want to continue making videos. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But I want to say again that it's unfortunate that so many games just got shut down because they could have been better, but they weren't given the chance to. So That's all I wanted to say. If you've listened to this part, if you listened to this thus far, thank you very much for watching or listening. I am your host, Real Zero, signing off for the night. Have a good day or night wherever you are.